Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the NFC West Roundtable. As promised, we are going to be going through all of the wide receiver rankings of the NFC West. Now, if you are watching this video after Brandon Ayuk got traded, please wipe this completely clean from your slate. This completely destroys each and every single list. I'm just kidding. But very exciting to dive into this. This stream is powered by BetUS. Hands down the best sports book on the face of the planet, folks. When it comes into over-unders, when it comes into point spreads, when it comes into player props, anything you can imagine, BetUS is the place to do it. And get this, they are matching 125% of your first three deposits all the way up to $2,000. $100 turns to $225 in total to play with. That's the same thing for all three deposits, guys. We have futures, we have over-unders, we have the lines for week one already. Go on ahead and show a little bit of love. Rate to BetUS. All right, guys, let's go on ahead and go around the table, see how everybody is doing before we start busting out these rankings. Starting off with Jesse. How you doing?
Well, I mean, I can't really make heads or tails of it, but what I do know is all of us are wearing our favorite shirts from Monday. So either none of us showered, or we're traveling through a time machine. But good to see y'all again. Good to see y'all again. Man, I'm doing great. Can't wait to get to this list and have a little bit of fun.
Love to hear it. Mike, what about you?
It's always good to hear what everybody has to think about the Arizona Cardinals. You know, little brother, it's different this year, but I'm really excited to see where you guys rank the Cardinals. I'm already kind of disappointed in what you guys are thinking. I just kind of feel it, but yeah, I'm excited.
Jake, what up?
What up? I love being here. I love you guys, and that's really all I have to say. I'm excited to dive into it.
Last but not least, our good friend Norb.
Hey man, it's a party in the NFC West, and yeah, I can't wait to see what everybody has to say too. It's a whole other season, but you know we'll see how everything shakes out. But I feel pretty good about things right now.
See, I will tell you what, I have the previews right in front of me, and some of them are quite different, which is pretty interesting. We're going to start off with Norb's list right here. Norb! Look at that, man.
There it is.
Look at that.
Oh,
Norb,
wow.
NFC West wide receiver room rankings. Would you mind walking us through your reasoning behind each and every single one of these?
Well, the 49ers, you know, they've been the top dog for a long time. And, of course, they got to put that asterisk next to Brandon Ayuk, because if Brandon Ayuk is not on that list, well, then I might change this a little bit from what we have right here. But if the same core is still there with Ayuk and Kittle and Deebo Samuel, I mean, that's a solid. You know, they're one of the best. You know, and it's not just the receivers themselves, but the whole system under Shanahan and the way Purdy's got things going in there. They're just the way that they just run that. That thing is a well-oiled machine. And so what I love to see Ayuk leave that and kind of break that system up, of course I would. But right now, if that's going to be the case, it's kind of hard to bet against them. So that's why I put the Niners up there, because until it's proven otherwise, they're kind of the top dog to have to go against. I do put my Seahawks here number 2. Now, our wide receiving core is basically the same as it's been, but I think there's a big radical difference there. Our quarterback's the same, but we've got a whole different new head coach. We've got a whole different new offensive coordinator. Both the offensive coordinator was from my UW Huskies last year, and I love the way this guy runs his system. And I've heard you guys, especially Jesse, talk about how Seattle's been very vanilla with their schemes, both offensively and defensively. Well, I think that's going to be very different this year. And I think because of that, we saw a little bit already in just some of the preseason action, but not a lot because they didn't get too exotic with their formations and pre-snap motions. But already starting to see, just from what I've seen in training camp, they do a lot of movement to get receivers open. And I think our receiving core is better than what they've been. DK Metcalf should be getting way more catches and targets and yards than he's been. Tyler Lockett, he's falling off a little bit. He's getting older, but Jackson Smith-Njigba is on the rise, had a great first year, but he started off slow. So I think with those guys in a new system and with the downhill threat that Ryan Grubb likes to do, as he did with the Huskies, they like to throw the ball downfield. And Geno Smith, if given protection, can make those throws. And so I'm very excited to see how this whole system comes together. But because of all those reasons, I feel like as a whole, the whole wide receiving core is going to be better than what it's been. And it's already been pretty good, but it's going to be even better than we've seen. The Rams right there neck and neck, though, because, Puka Nacua, man, just one of the best receivers in the league last year. He's always going to be a threat. Cooper Kupp, again, when healthy, it's kind of like Deebo Samuel. When healthy, these guys are some of the best and hardest guys to cover. Deebo Samuel's had his health issues. Cooper Kupp's had his health issues. But we'll just assume that if everybody's healthy for most of the season, those two guys alone pose a major problem. But I kind of compare them. I think I put them in similar categories with the Seahawks in terms of I just feel like the Rams have done a hell of a lot better job of getting more. And I credit Sean McVay and his offensive schemes of being able to get those guys open, and a quarterback who can sling it pretty good too. So I feel like we've just been similar in talent, but we have caught up a little bit in terms of coaching to get us more in a similar realm. So that's why I put them pretty close. The Cardinals, yeah, it's easy to put those guys in the basement just because that's kind of been where they've been all this time. But I know Marvin Harrison Jr., I think that they've had a great draft, great players, but Marvin Harrison Jr., obviously the number one guy who could really tilt the field and potentially change the entire dynamic when it comes to any defense that has to go face that offense now. The real question is, can Kyler Murray, what kind of season he's going to have, how healthy will he be, and can he get the ball downfield to this amazing target? That's what I'm most curious to see, is how much impact will he make, Marvin Harrison Jr. alone, how much impact will he make on this Cardinals roster? It could be a real game changer if these guys click right off the bat. But I feel like any great player, sometimes it takes a while for them to get going. But time will tell. Time will tell to see how that goes. So I'm going to put them. I'm not going to give them the benefit of the doubt. So I'm putting them at the bottom. They've got to earn their way back up here because it has not been much of a threat in recent seasons. So we'll see if that changes. So that's how I did my rankings there.
Can Marvin Harrison flip the script? That is the question as we move on. Hey, I'll tell you what, Mike's list. Let's look at Mike's.
Start the fireworks, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh my!
Start the fireworks, ladies.
Whoa, Mike!
Jeez.
Oh my goodness!
Okay. Let me explain to you why this list. Is
Lucy, some explaining to do.
This is the reason. So in my mind, 49ers no longer have Brandon Ayuk. So this is me from the future. That's why I put you guys in the bottom. But let's start off from the top. The Seattle Seahawks, although I hate to admit, they got the top. I think their wide receiving core is actually pretty down out. DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, what is that? How do you say that? Njigba? That guy.
Yes, Jackson Smith and Njigba.
Thank you. Yeah,
JSN. Just call him JSN for short.
There you go. I think they actually got a 3 solid piece of a wide receiving core. So I put them on the top. Now, yes, this might be a homer take, but I have serious confidence that the Arizona Cardinals are going to make major strides this year with Marvin Harrison Jr. Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr. has worked out mostly every weekend, as well as Michael Wilson. And I know a lot of people don't know Michael Wilson, but this man put like 565 yards, and that's with Joshua Dobbs, Clayton Tune, and 8 games with Kyler Murray when he was just barely starting up. So he actually had a pretty good rookie season. Then we got Greg Dortch and then Zay Jones and then Chris Moore. So I'm talking about just overall. I'm not just basing 1 or 2 players and saying, oh, you have enough of the. That's what I'm going based off. Who's got the most dynamic core, not just a player or 2 that's going to say, oh, you're good. Because every one of these teams have really good players. So that's why I put my Arizona Cardinals on 2, because I have potential. I'm excited about it. Number 3, I think it's obviously the elephant in the room, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp. If he can stay healthy, really, really good wide receivers right there. And then the 49ers, like I said, I'm coming from the future right now. So when we post this, or maybe next week when you're watching this, Brandon Ayuk probably won't be there. So you're left with what? Deebo Samuel and Jennings, which I know I hear you guys rave about him. I haven't seen him, so I'm going to put you guys down there here in the 4. That's just how it goes. Like I said, start the fireworks.
I love you, Mike. I love you.
That was
That's all I have to say.
Appreciate it. You'll see. This year. This is the year.
Hey, listen, there is no problem having confidence in your receiver squad. I'll tell you what, that was the first time I saw that. Let's go ahead. Let's go over to Jake's. Jake, here we go. Oh, look at that.
Yeah, I'm coming from the present. Regardless of Brandon Ayuk or not, the Rams have the best receiver group in the league. I mean, find me an offensive player of the year out of any of the receivers from these four teams. Cooper Kupp. He's the only one. And Cooper Kupp, by the way, is back to full health. And when he's fully healthy, he's the best receiver in this division. I mean, there's no question about it. He almost broke Calvin Johnson's record, let's not forget, and had the craziest postseason for a wide receiver. Now, I want to start off with the Cardinals here at 4, and we'll work our way up. Mike, I actually like some of what they have. I was a big fan of Michael Wilson, coming out of the draft. He's had a ton of injuries, but if he stays healthy, he could be a really good player. Greg Dortch, he came from the Rams, the Rams practice squad. Didn't really get an opportunity in preseason, but I like Greg Dortch. Okay. Zay Jones. I think Zay Jones is a solid guy. I think Zach Pascal's a solid guy. I think Chris Moore is a solid guy. But if we're being honest here, Marvin Harrison Jr., if he ends up being as good as I think he'll be, this is the 49ers wide receiver room with Terrell Owens and a bunch of dudes. There's no way that this is anything more than a 4. Seattle, all right, at 3. Jake Bobo, impressive. Really having a great camp. Showed up in big spots as a red zone guy. Laviska Shenault, well, I've kind of given up all hope on him being a stud, but he's not a bad guy at the back end of your wide receiver room. You have some other guys. D. Eskridge is clearly a bust. I thought he was going to be a superstar. Not a superstar, but a really good player. Jackson Smith and Jigba is the most overrated receiver in this division. It's not even close. He's a good receiver, no doubt about it. But the way people have just assumed that he's going to ascend to stardom is insane. Tyler Lockett started taking a step back last year, and DK Metcalf isn't better than Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, Brandon Ayuk at all. So Seahawks are 3. The 49ers are 2 here. I really like what you have with Brandon Ayuk right now. I don't know why you would just keep Deebo Samuel over him, or you just not keep them both. But you can't pay everybody. Regardless, Brandon Ayuk there or not, we're going to go with what is currently in the present. Brandon Ayuk is there. I love Juwan Jennings. I think Deebo Samuel is not the best pure receiver, but he is a weapon. I've said that, and he's a star. Ronnie Bell is a solid player. I don't know if he's going to make this team, but I actually like him. I love Jacob Cowing. The guy's always open on tape. Always open on tape. Ricky Pearsall. I mean, we talked about how many different mock drafts did we do? Ricky Pearsall. I think we all got Ricky Pearsall in different mock drafts. So I like him. They have some other guys. Robbie Chosen Anderson does not at all move any sort of needle in any sort of way. So they're number 2. Number 1 is the Rams. And the reason it's the Rams is because Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp is the best duo in the NFL right now. It really is. If Cooper Kupp is healthy this year, people are not ready for what is about to come. And Puka Nacua has gotten even better. Okay, so that's the thing. Those two are outstanding. Demarcus Robinson is aging backwards. Tutu Atwell is one of the best 4 receivers that you're going to find in this league. And we're seeing already Jordan Whittington is kind of him. So you have Jordan Whittington as a 5. You have Tyler Johnson. Maybe Xavier Smith makes this team. But when you look at the Rams wide receivers, this is not the strongest Rams wide receiver room in Sean McVay's tenure. They've had Brandon Cooks, Cooper Kupp, and Robert Woods all at the same time. Hell, they had OBJ at one point with Robert Woods, with Van Jefferson, who was probably playing his best football at that time, and Cooper Kupp. But the reality of it is Demarcus Robinson is somebody who people are going to look at and say, the numbers don't really move the needle. He didn't get going until week 11. He was actually outplaying most guys in camp, and they finally just gave him an opportunity in week 11, and he was very, very important down the stretch. So I look at this wide receiver room. It might not be the best Rams wide receiver room, but it definitely is the best wide receiver room in this division. I think all 4 of these teams have very capable wide receivers. I think there's a lot of potential in Arizona. And I think the 49ers have guys where, let's be honest, if Ricky Pearsall plays like a first rounder, if Jacob Cowing gets an opportunity and they finally let Juwan Jennings play, they're going to definitely be a good wide receiver room all around. I think Seattle they have good pieces, but I think Seattle gets the whole, well, they have DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. And Metcalf is a very good receiver, but he could be so much better. He has a lot of those, dumb plays. He makes mistakes. And Tyler Lockett is aging. So I understand Cooper Kupp's aging, but Cooper Kupp is the issue with him is more so the injuries. He almost put up, 800 yards, and he barely even played last year at 50%. So that is my take on that. I think the Rams have the best quarterback throwing to the best wide receiver room in the division.
So what Jake right there was scorched earth.
Sorry, I love all of you. Didn't change anything.
And does anyone feel like they need to respond to anything based off of that list? He was coming after everybody.
No, I mean, I disagree with the list. We'll go over mine in a second. But, I mean, I really can see a scenario where Rams, 49ers, Seahawks, you can have that in any order, and I think you can make the argument for all three of them. I was going to have this whole spiel about how I love the NFC West Roundtable because I'm seeing some of the other roundtables, and they're all just homer lists, putting their quarterback number one, knowing damn well their quarterback's not number one. And we were very good last week about breaking it down. I had the Rams quarterback. We had our Seahawks representative, Steezy, had Brock Purdy number one. And then Mike came in and just went full homer on us and wiped that whole slate clean. So that whole conversation is out the window. But that was the plan, Mike. That was the plan. And the reason I had that plan is because I saw Norb's list, and then I said, wow, I have the Seahawks number one. And the reason I have the Seahawks number one is I agree with a lot of what Jake said. I think DK Metcalf's one of those guys who came into the league based off of where he was drafted and some of the problems that he had as a route runner coming out of college. He's exceeded expectation. But now that he's been in the league for a while, it's almost like he's underwhelmed a little bit. You look at what he brings to the table physically, and as good as he is, I feel like he can be better. There's another level there. But the reality of the situation is this. We've seen some flashes from receivers like Cooper Kupp, but Cooper Kupp's 31 years old and only has 2 1,000-yard seasons under his belt. Puka Nacua is a very, very good receiver, but I've seen it for just 1 year. I've got to have another year, and I've got to see Cooper Kupp make it through a season healthy before I'm willing to just put the Rams back up there. Seattle has 2 receivers that are always going over 1,000 yards. DK Metcalf has 3 seasons over 1,000 yards. The other 2 seasons, he was over 900. Lockett, for like the last 6 seasons, has either been over 1,000 or over 900. And when you look at Lockett and you look at DK Metcalf, they complement each other so well. I mean, you've got the big body guy who also has speed. You've got the crisp route runner who gets in and out of his breaks. He can play in the slot or he can be an outside receiver. I think they complement each other well. And then when I look at what Ryan Grubb brings to the table as a play caller, Jackson Smith and Jigma, I don't know for sure what he is, but what I do know is that they think he can be a good receiver out of the slot. And when I look at what he brings to the table along with the other 2, I see a lot of similarities to what they had with Roma Dunze and those guys in Washington last year in college. And I think that Grubbs can get the best out of these guys. And so I expect them to take a leap forward. I love the San Francisco 49ers. Obviously, I'm the representative here, but I'm not going to go full homer. If this was pass catchers, the 49ers are far and away number one on this list. They have George Kittle. They have Christian McCaffrey, who might be a better pure receiver than Deebo Samuel, for God's sake. But this is a receiver list. Brandon Ayuk just had a breakout year, but it's one really, really good year. Deebo Samuel's been good, but he's not a pure receiver. Jennings, it might be the best number 3 receiver in the whole division, and that's why I have them at number 2, because he brings up the rear end of this receiving core. He almost won Super Bowl MVP. In fact, if the 49ers would have won that game, he would have been the Super Bowl MVP. So the 49ers are number 2 on my list. I think I gave a good description of why I think the Rams are number 3. And the Cardinals have Marvin Harrison Jr., who might be the best prospect we've seen at receiver in many, many years, but he's done nothing yet in the NFL. And then they have a bunch of meh behind him. So I can't put them any higher than number 4.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Damn, Jesse.
I told you, Jawan Jennings. I told you going into the Super Bowl, I was very, very high on him. They need to actually let him be a 3. But can I just say one thing real quick?
Please.
Yes, sir.
I gotta say, when I was talking about receivers, I don't feel like I really put this, across and why I really believe the Rams have the best receiver group. There is not a receiver group that blocks better than the Rams. Period. Now,
I don't know about that.
Ayuk is very good.
Jennings is good too.
And he is. That's why I love Jennings. Debo is not a good blocker. He's not. So Cooper Kupp and PFF would back me up on this. Not saying that it's the Bible, but you get kind of an idea. Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, Demarcus Robinson, and Tutu Atwell were all in the top 12 in blocking. Tutu Atwell, people look at it and they're like, he's 5'9" and a $160 soaking wet. That guy can't block. Yes, he can. He can absolutely block. Demarcus Robinson was 8th. Cooper Kupp has always been the top 5. Puka Nacua was basically like another tight end. They were using Puka Nacua. They'd motion him, so he was basically the tight end on that play because he was that good of a blocker. I think blocking really matters. And I mean, Jordan Whittington, obviously we have only seen him play one preseason game. So I'm not about to say, yeah, he's a fantastic blocker. He's the best in the league. But they have the blocking, they have the route running, they have the natural hands ability. That's why I feel like they're number 1. Plus, they have the only guy who's won an Offensive Player of the Year award in Cooper Kupp. And again, I totally agree with Jesse because I think Jesse makes a fantastic point that Cooper Kupp only has 2,000-yard seasons. Cooper Kupp has had a hard time staying healthy, no doubt about it. But right now, currently, in the present, Cooper Kupp is healthy. Right now, currently in the present, Brandon Ayuk is a 49er. I chose to go about that instead of how these guys might be. And so that's ultimately how I had that.
Well,
fair enough.
I will tell you what, we always love hearing feedback in the comments section. Please sound off and let us know where you rank all of the wide receiver cores in the NFC West. We're certainly going to get our answer as the season inches closer. Let's go around the table, say our goodbyes. Starting off with Jesse. What you got?
Damn it, Mike. I had the whole spiel and you went ahead and did something like that and totally blew it. No, I'm just kidding. I actually love the enthusiasm for the Cardinals. And I think this division is just so good that even a team with Marvin Harrison Jr., who I think is going to be a stud, is clearly number 4 because the rest of this receiving cores are so damn good. Put the Cardinals in a different division and you might have a different result, but man, the NFC West is absolutely stacked, and that's what makes this roundtable so much fun.
What you got, Mike?
No, I ain't mad at it, and I can see why everybody puts the Cardinals at 4, right? Back-to-back 4-win seasons. It's kind of a prove it. What have you done for me lately, or what have you done for the NFL? And the Cardinals haven't done anything, and I can see where that coming from. But honestly, I'm not gonna sit here and put my Cardinals down. I have full faith in the world that they're gonna be doing good, and hey, let's go Cardinals.
So what about you, Norb?
We don't have time to break this down, but it would be interesting to see what if we could just take our receiving cores and we actually moved them to other teams in the NFC West? Would they still have the same ranking, or is it more they work in the teams and the systems that they have, as opposed to just pure receivers, like what Jake is saying? He's talking about just pure pass catching, route running. How much of it is talent? How much is it the system that they're in? Obviously, we'll never know the answer to that, but we might find out. Brandon Ayuk is going to be a very strong case sample as to how is he going to be and how will the team change when one piece is moved. Will he flourish like he has been, or will the 49ers just plug in a new guy and it'll be like they didn't miss a beat like the Chiefs have done? It'll be interesting to see, but either way, it's going to be a lot of explosions and fireworks in the NFC West for sure when it comes to the offenses. So it's going to be fun to watch and a lot of pressure on defenses to cover these guys because there's going to be a lot of balls getting thrown downfield this year.
And what about you, Jake?
Yeah, I got to say, I have a lot of respect for this division. I do think this is one of the best divisions in all football, if not the best. And I think the Cardinals are going to be a lot better than people think. I've said that. I hope Marvin Harrison Jr. ends up being the next best thing since sliced bread. I really do. Because I would like to see it, especially for Mike. Mike is so freaking wholesome. He's got so much faith in his team. I would love to see Marvin Harrison Jr. be the best receiver in this entire division. It would make me happy for Mike, but also I'm a football fan and I watch every game. So, I really do. When I say this, I think I have a lot of respect for all these teams. I think Seattle has a lot of talent. Yeah, it was part of the bit, like going in on Jackson Smith and Jigba. Overrated doesn't mean bad. Overrated just means, yeah, people think you're a little bit better than maybe I do. But the reality is there's a lot of great talent. And I think guys like Jake Bobo, I think guys like, again, I mention him, but Jawan Jennings, like there are these unsung heroes that we're going to see as this season gets down to the wire. And you have teams that are double teaming a Cooper Kupp, double teaming a Brandon Ayuk. Well, just kidding, Jesse. He'll be gone by then. But, double teaming a DK Metcalf. And that's when these other guys are going to have to step up. And it's not about who's up at the top necessarily. It's about who you got in the middle and towards the bottom of your depth chart that ultimately decides what the best wide receiver room is. So I'm excited to see all of these. And I love this idea because I think rankings are just so much fun.
Well, folks,
Well said.
Fasten your seatbelts, folks. I love hosting this show. I have so much expectations for the NFC West, and the fun has not even begun yet, folks. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn on those notifications, and as always, we will see you again Tuesday evening at 9 p.m. EST, 6 p.m. Pacific. Thank you so much for once again tuning in to another episode powered by BetUS. We'll see you next time.